Well, sustainable forest management is more than just about biology and formulas. You know, it's really there's sort of a three-legged stool, and without all three, the stool does not stand. It has to be forestry that is environmentally sound, economically viable, and socially responsible.
The other components in this concept or dimension of sustainability of society and economics are two pieces that I think have been missing in a lot of the discussions about sustainable forest management.
Carl Schenk's definition of forestry was common sense applied to woodlands. Sustainable forestry is common sense applied to the entire forest landscape.
So what is sustainable forest management? It means people actively engaged in ensuring that forest, with all of its values, will be there in the future, frankly. And it means accepting that a forest and what it looks like today is probably not what that forest is going to look like tomorrow or 10 years from now or 20 years from now. And I think a fundamental thing that sustainable forest management means is that people are engaged with that forest.
It's about all the different values that the forest provides. Clean water, outdoor recreation opportunities, habitat for wildlife.
It's this idea of getting public benefits out of private resources. And that's the key thing. I mean, our county is very much a mirror of certainly the Maryland situation, and even more so than nationally. We have 75% of our forests are privately owned, and yet we have to protect our drinking water reservoirs. Our county, that's a special responsibility. Half of our county drains to the reservoir system that the city of Baltimore owns. It's the largest public water supply system in the state of Maryland, and 1/3 of the state's population depends on it. So that's in our backyard. So how do we keep that water healthy when we don't really directly control it?
You know, forests and forest conservation it's not a partisan issue. It's not a Republican issue. It's not a Democratic issue. It's not a conservative or a liberal issue. This is something that's absolutely central to the viability of our country and our society. It's part of our basic infrastructure. Without forests, we don't have water. Without water, we don't have communities. So this is something that it's extremely important to us to be able to use a resource like the National Report on Sustainable Forests to get an objective perspective out there on exactly what is going on with our forests.
Well, the National Report on Sustainable Forests is our country's response to the commitments that we've made internationally to 12 other countries to collectively use a common set of criterion indicators to report on forest conditions and trends at the national level. So it's clearly a national report. We do provide some information in the report at the regional level, and the basic data and a lot of the more detailed technical information is also available at the state level.
And recognize that it is the work that needs to be done is with those private landowners. So we're starting to partner with the organizations to do that, and we're developing really some new management models and doing things that people, even to a certain extent, had said you couldn't do successfully. So for example, in rural areas, we identified large lot, low density residential subdivisions that were already out there. And we saw and observed and used our GIS analysis and said, you get these 3, 5, 6 acre lots, and we observed that people were mowing what we call excess lawn, I mean even beyond an acre. And so we started talking to people in the rural areas about forest cover and the health of their streams and downstream impacts on the reservoirs.
It's been very gratifying over the course of about a 3-decade career to see forest management improving really everywhere we look. That's not to say that there aren't still some very significant, some legitimate problems out there, issues that need to be addressed. I think about the huge areas that go up in flames every year. not only the losses of the temporary losses of forest land that involves, but the impacts on wildlife habitat, the impacts on water quality. Clearly, that's something that need to be addressed. Some of the expanding impacts of insects and disease in the United States. It's wonderful to have an organization like the Forest Service working in cooperation with universities that bring a tremendous research capacity to understanding why that's happening, what we may be able to do about that.
I think for most people, sustainability means that they'll have forests in their lives, and their children will have forests in their lives, and their children, and so on. They think of it as something that will always be there. And I think for most people, sustaining forests is about much more than trees. It's about being able to go fishing in a stream. It's about being able to hike up through woods into a mountaintop and look out. It's about going camping. It's about sharing family stories.